Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Let's conduct the usual business now of question answer. I understand that Brother Usman Chini Sahib has come prepared to ask a few questions regarding some fundamental similarities and dissimilarities between Confucianism and Islam, because that would be a very educative subject. I understand everybody would be extremely interested in that comparative study. So I invite now Usman Sahib to ask the questions which he has already prepared. Reference, wonderful. No, you better go there and ask the questions one after the other. That would be for my later use. Right? But you are very thorough, I know, you know. Yes, he has come fully prepared with all the references and everything.
Assalamu alaikum. I don't know English well. I try my best, but you try your best to understand me.
Right.
Comparative studies between Islam and Confucianism, and the questions in connection with the way of proving superiority
of Islam.
Yes. There are resemblances between Islam and Confucianism in some principles as well as some details. But as Confucianism is only for Chinese, only for a certain time, it is not a perfect religion. It is classical books of Confucianism. It's works of different persons which collected by Confucians and also born by king of Qin dynasty. It did not remain as it was. Therefore, we find Confucianism has some defects in comparison with Islam. Number one, concept of God. There are some reference in another page.
Yes.
Confucianism, as Islam, teaches unity of God. It remained in Confucianism, in Confucian annex. For example, Confucius said, Guangshunjia asked the master Huang, what is the meaning of the saying? It is better to pay court to the furnace than the southwest corner. Master said, not so. He was offense against God, has known to whom he can pray.
Just a moment, would you kindly repeat this slowly? Repeat this. Because I understand now your question will be based on this saying. Yes. So
Wang Shunjia asked the master Kong.
Who was this person who asked the question?
His disciple.
One of his disciples?
Yes.
Was he later on after his death, some important leader as who he inherited something from Confucius, or just an ordinary disciple? Just ordinary disciple.
Yes. What is the meaning of saying it is better to pay court to defenders than
pay court?
It is just the place for idol worshipping.
Now, pay court to what?
To pay court to the furnace. It means beside God, there are some statues. First of all, you should pray them. He said that I should not pray them. I only pray God.
Yes.
You mean to say.
That's right.
So what is the meaning of saying it is better to pay court to the furnace than the southwest corner? The master said, not so. He who offends against God has none to whom he can pray. Useless to pray to another.
Quite.
When Confucius was frightened in Kwang place, he said, after the death of Wang, he was not the cause of the truth lodged here in me. If God has wished to let this cause of the truth perish, then I, a mere mortal, should not have got such a relation to that cause.
Now, Usman Sahib,
Yeah.
I think it will be better if you also translate what you say into Urdu.
It was, I should not.
Why?
I think I leave some. You have no source of time.
So Usman Sahib is particularly tickling me,
Yes.
the way he's laughing.
Yeah.
But it's not a joke. I want to help you as well as myself.
Yes.
I know you have learned Urdu much better than English, number one.
Yes.
And number two, you can, there are people here who can understand English.
Yes.
If it is easy and simple English, they can hear it correctly too.
If I translate
But I think most of the audience, even Ibrahim will not be able to. See? So if you either use Urdu alone, and let me try to translate it,
I think I
or
leave a
do it
reference.
both in English and Urdu, and
I leave a reference.
the reference will have to be read in English, and then they can be translated into Urdu.
I think only few simple. After there are simple sayings.
But still, the foundation is laid in difficult sayings. So when we come to a simple saying, we will have no foundation to stand upon. So without these, understanding these important sayings, fundamental sayings, which you have already started quoting, will not be able to know what you mean later on. I mean, the direction you take later on will be based on this. No?
All right. I leave references usually.
You need these references.
No, I leave it. Should I leave the references?
No, why you leave reference? The references are important. What I mean to say is, you can translate them in Urdu better than in English. And anyway, I have been studying in Jamia with you, so we have got so used to your Urdu now that it's not difficult at all for me to understand it.
All right.
And I'll translate it.
This is you. This reference.
No, when you give me, I'll tell the gist to the audience, what you said. Urdu में आप बताएं ना मुझे.
All right. Confucius उनके जो मुक़द्दस किताब है उनमें से ये
हाँ देखा आगे बहुत बेहतर उर्दू बोलते हैं.
ये
आगे आ जाए और आगे आ जाए.
ये आया है खुदा ईस्ट से आया है. मैं खुदा से डरता हूँ. मेरे अंदर ये जरूरत नहीं है कि मैं गलती करूँ. और खुदा के सलूक और हमेशा इस जैसा नहीं है.
क्या नहीं है?
खुदा का सलूक हम जैसा. खुदा का सलूक हमेशा तब्दीली होती रहती है. जो अच्छा काम करेगा वो अच्छा सलूक करेगा, जो गलत काम करेगा वो गलत वो साबित
इसी तरह का सलूक होगा. ठीक है.
और एक जगह ये भी कहा है कि मैंने ख्वाब, नबी ने कहा है, मैंने ख्वाब देखा है कि खुदा मुझे एक वजीर दिया है. और एक जगह ये भी कहा है कि खुदा
वजीर दिया है.
वजीर एक ऑफिसर
बना दिया है,
किसी को एक पौराशा था, पौराशा भी था, नबी भी था और पौराशा भी था कि उसने अल्लाह ताला मुझे ख्वाब में दिखा खुदा मुझे एक वजीर या एक ऑफिसर दिया है।
अच्छा, तोहफा नहीं, मताहत के तौर पे
जी,
समझ गया, ठीक है।
और एक जगह ये भी
दिया है कि उसके मुरीदों में, मानने वालों में वज़रा भी शामिल होंगे।
रेफरेंस
में को इल्हाम हुआ ना, बादशाह तेरे कपड़ों से बरकत ढूंढेंगे, उसी किस्म का है ये रोया। हाँ 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 जी।
एक रेफरेंस ये है कि लिखा है कि खुदा तुम्हारे पास आया है कि तुम कतील इधर उधर ना हो जाओ।
He says that the concept of God in Confucianism is very positive in the sense that we have many quotations of Confucius categorically mention God and paying homage to him, and the concept of God which he presents is similar to that of Islam in many ways, although there would be other differences. Now why he has to say that is because according to some, Confucianism is not a religion but only a philosophy, and they think that Confucianism can be read to any other religion as it has been in the past in China and Japan, etc. So it is just a philosophy which can be mended into any other religion, and it has no clash with any religion, like a civilization, So the Chinese civilization, Chinese old way of life, that is described with Confucianism, and the religions are apart from that. That is according to some people.
Yes.
But the quotations which he is now referring to mention God positively. Although there are certain aspects of those quotations which cannot be understood properly by Muslims, at least the significance is difficult to reach. For instance, God came from east. Is he referring to the sun rising from the east, as some would have it, or would he refer to religions generally having been born in the east, as we would rather have it, But this is one saying which would require special attention. And otherwise, Confucius is known to have, somebody asked Confucius whether it is, as there is a saying that you should pay homage to other gods or the ancient spirits of your elders. What would you think about that? And the answer was no, positively not. I don't want people to waste their energies and attentions. There is only one God to whom the homage should be paid, and that is God, Then at another place, Confucius tells us that don't take God for granted, or don't feel safe with him. He is changeable in the sense that he can be good to the good and punishing to the evil. So he is not a constant factor which you can take lightly.
Yes.
He will treat you as you treat him, as you treat others. So if you are an evil person, a very punishing God can appear to you. If you are a good man, then a benign and rewarding God will be your God. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
So अब तक तो ये बातें आपने कही.
Yes.
अब आपका सवाल है या मजीद
सवाल है?
हाँ, सवाल क्या है?
So I try to read the sawal in English. Maybe
okay,
people can understand.
Yes.
Our question is this: should we prove superiority of Islam in this aspect by mentioning personal name of God by Allah and emphasizing the way of teaching of existence of God and the manifestation of his attributes from the Holy Quran, Hadith, and the books of Promised Messiah?
Only wants to seek advice from me whether, because he is now our main spokesman to the Chinese people from the Islamic point of view, so he wants guidance on this subject, whether we should use these references to God and take the approach that this is all the God known to Confucius, while the God known to the founder of Islam was a much greater personage, was so full of such attributes and qualities as were totally unknown to Confucius. And he is a complete God, a God which can be required by his creatures in any way would be found in Islam. No aspect of Godhood which is essential to complement our requirements on earth is missing in Islam. And he asked whether in this regard we should quote, for instance, attributes of God found in the Holy Quran and in the tradition, and how a complete picture of God is created in Islam, which is comparatively, not only with Confucius but with all other religions, a much superior introduction of God to mankind than any religion has ever attempted. This is the question.
Yes, the question.
Right?
Yes.
So the answer is obviously yes. Go ahead and do it. This is the way. Take all the positive aspects of God as known to Confucianism, and based on Confucius's sayings, and then enlarge upon the subject of what God is from the Islamic point of view, and make a comparative study. And as I have already suggested, build the subject on needs and complementary powers of God to fulfill those needs. So if you know only Confucius is God, then man is left without direction, without assistance from God in many fields of his interest. But if you turn to God as presented by Islam, that is the founder of Islam, then that God is comprehensive. He covers every field of human interest and beyond. So why not accept this God and be content with a minor and smaller concept of God?
उनको ज़रूरत भी है क्योंकि उनने खुदा के नाम आसमान रखा है और आसमानी खुदा भी रखा है, आसमानी बादशाह भी रखा है, खुदा नहीं रखा।
हेवन और आसमान ये खुदा के लिए इस्तेमाल होते हैं दुनिया में, दूसरी जगह
नाम है। लेकिन इसके साथ आसमान का नाम भी रखा गया है। इसके नतीजा में कि बहुत लोग खुदा इनकार कर दिया, मुश्तबा हो गया कि ये शायद आज़ाहिर आसमान, इसलिए उनको जरूरत है।
He says that it is essential for us to take that approach vis-a-vis those Chinese who believe in religion, not those who are atheists, because the concept of God in Confucianism is so confusing that sometimes he is referred to as just heaven or skies. So this is why many people have turned into atheists, and the religion Confucius has lost its value to them as a moral code. It is just a philosophy, because of this. So the God becomes impersonal, God becomes nature to them, because his attributes are not very clear and positive. So something should be written on this. I think you have already written on this subject in your book, which I told you to write on Mahdi, and told you to enlarge it to cover all the aspects which are required by the Chinese. Or did you write that book only addressing yourself to the Muslims?
No, for all, but only deal with the principal matters as mentioned before.
I see.
In detail, I did not mention.
So you better write something, some other articles in detail, from this point of view.
Or in Holy Quran commentaries. Right.
Good. अगला सवाल क्या है?
दूसरा सवाल ये अखलाक की मुतल्लिक है। अखलाक मुतल्लिक कन्फ्यूशियनिज्म में अखलाक मुतल्लिक बहुत जोर दिया है, जिस तरह इस्लाम ने जोर दिया है। वो कहते हैं कि इंसान ना सिर्फ अपना अखलाक को मजबूत करें, पर लोगों की अखलाक भी दुरुस्त करें। और कहाँ तक दुरुस्त करें, किस तरह दुरुस्त करें? खुदा की सिफात की मुताबिक दुरुस्त करे,
खुदा से
खुदा की सिफात, खुदा के खुलूक अखलाक के मुताबिक अपना अखलाक
ये लफ्ज़ इस्तेमाल हुए हैं,
ये इस्तेमाल किया है, लेकिन वो हेवन लफ्ज़ इस्तेमाल किया है। हेवन मतलब खुदा, उनका मतलब
ठीक है, मगर हेवन जो है अगर वो पर्सन नहीं है तो उसके अखलाक तो मैं नहीं, कोई नहीं फिर
तो इसका
यहाँ तो हेवन का तर्जुमा खुदा के सिवा किया ही नहीं जा सकता।
तो मैं इसलिए मैं ये रेफरेंस मैंने दिया है, बेहतर ये आप खुद सुनाए, वहाँ मौजूद है, बहुत अच्छा रेफरेंस है।
सबसे पहला जो है
जो नंबर 1 मोरलिटी, इसके बाद मोरलिटी के बाद नंबर 4, पेज नंबर 4।
I see, all right. The second question which Usman Sahib is raising is with reference to morality, concept of morality in Confucianism. He says that that is the strongest point of Confucianism, morality. And the greatest emphasis is laid on morality in Confucianism. And in there it is closest to Islam in so many ways. The most fundamental thing which makes the central core of moral philosophy of Confucianism is that man should make his morals according to heaven's morals. Now he says that the word heaven is used, now not God, but it is exactly the same thing which has been mentioned in the Holy Quran. Sibghat Allah wa man ahsanu min Allah sibgha. There are colors. What color could be better than the color of God? That is to say, the character, the attributes. So this is a beautiful invitation to the colorful, not only to the aspects of, to the attributes of God, but in a very colorful way. It's not boring to be like God. If without colors, life would be nothing. And the best colors are found in God's character, in God's attributes. So you follow Him and beautify yourself. This is the approach taken by the Holy Quran. So this saying seems to say exactly the same thing in a different way, of course, different style. And this is the starting point of Confucius's moral philosophy.
I'm sorry, the color I just make understanding. Actually, it use morality of God.
Morality
of heaven.
That's what I mean. Yes, that's what I've said.
Yeah.
And in shape your morals according to the characters or morality of God,
yes.
Morality of heaven. Yes. So if by heaven he did not mean God, that nature has no morality. You see, that is a very strong point in our favor for translating heaven as God, as a personal God, not as an impersonal God. The reference which he wants me to read is this: morality. Confucianism emphasizes morality. It calls upon people to improve their own moral qualities as well as others, and advise them to take qualities of God as model, as a doctrine of the mean and classical book. Mean and a classical book.
And classical book.
And classical?
And the classic book.
The doctrine of the mean.
Yes.
What is mean?
Means
I see. He says moderation. The doctrine of moderation. To be in the mean. Mean in the sense of middle, in the medium. The mean value. That is what he means. So the doctrine of moderation and to be well poised and to remain a middle roader. And classical book.
ये रेफरेंस किताब का नाम है तकफीन ऑफ द मी, ये किताब का नाम है.
अच्छा.
ये क्लासिक बुक है कन्फ्यूशियस का, इसमें ये जिक्र आया है.
Right. The doctrine of the mean. means the doctrine of being in the middle and not being extremist, That is a book which is one of the classical books of Confucianism. There is found this quotation, right?
Yes.
Right. So, if that is the foundation of Confucius morality,
Yes.
the entire morality concept of Confucianism is based on religion.
Yes.
Truly and rightly so.
Yes.
So
The reference is down. It is not it's only my word. The reference is downside. After that, the reference comes.
Right?
Yes. It is only he is.
Right?
Again.
I'm sorry, just a moment.
Yes.
It is only he who possesses all saintly qualities that can exist under heaven. That is, who is quick in apprehension, clear in discernment, of far-reaching intelligence, and all-embracing knowledge, able to exercise rule, magnanimous, generous, benign, and mild, able to exercise forbearance, charitable, energetic, firm, and enduring, fit to maintain a firm hold, and he is self-adjusted, grave, never deviating from the middle path, and correctable to command reverence, accomplished, distinctive, commentating.
Yeah.
What does it mean? Commentary, making commentary?
No.
And searching.
Searching. It means searching.
Searching, all right. Able to exercise discrimination, all-embracing and vast. He is like heaven, deep and active as a fountain. He is like the abyss. He is seen and all the people revere him. He speaks and all the people believe in him. He acts and all the people are pleased with him. Therefore, his fame spreads all over the Middle Kingdom. Very clear reference to God and to none else, So these are the attributes of God as mentioned in Confucianism in his own words.
And this is some saying of his disciple.
His disciples, not
his grandson, I think.
I see.
His grandson said.
His grandson.
Yes.
All creatures honor and love him. Hence it is said, he has a resemblance to heaven, God. Now, what is he speaking of then? All this was not said about God, but somebody else who has a resemblance. See, you exploded everything in the end.
And backward.
ये जो सारा हम पढ़ रहे थे, ये खुदा की बात ही नहीं कर रहा.
जी.
ये तो कर रहा है किसी और शख्स की बात.
जी.
गालिबन हजरत कन्फ्यूशियस की.
जी.
और आखिर पर कह दिया कि वो खुदा की, गोया कि वो खुदा की तरह थे. He has a resemblance to heaven, that is God.
In his akhlaq, his akhlaq खुदा की.
All creatures honor and love him, hence it is said, he has a resemblance to heaven.
Resemblance means his moral, resemblance to moral of God. I mean to say.
So he must be somebody else, he must not be God himself.
किस तरह हम कहते हैं सिफात इलाही अपने अंदर पैदा करो.
वो तो ठीक है. जब ये कह रहा है कि वो शख्स जिसकी मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, गोया वो खुदा से मुशाबे था, तो वो खुदा तो नहीं था. If he resembled heaven, he was not heaven himself. So he is different and heaven, that is God, is different. So who is he about whom he is talking?
इन्हें उनके नजदीक है कि जो शख्स खुदा जो शख्स खुदा से ताल्लुक रखते हैं, खुदा की सिफात अपने अंदर पैदा.
हाँ, तो फिर ये ही से मुराद यहाँ कन्फ्यूशियस होगा ना. अब तक जो बातें हो रही थी,
ये जरूर नहीं कन्फ्यूशियस. जो शख्स ऐसा करेगा,
जो करेगा, अच्छा
करेगा, ऐसे खुदा की सिफात
वो ऐसा बन जाएगा.
हाँ, ऐसे बन जाएगा. वो सिफात यही अपने पैदा हो जाएगा.
He has a resemblance to heaven.
हाँ, heaven असल में मेरा नजदीक खुदा है. वो उनकी सिफात खुदा की सिफात की तरह.
Now all that was said was not said about God. It was said that whoever follows this code of morality, he is like this. And in the end it says, in short, he is like God. He is like heaven, that is God. So if heaven was not personal, how could these attributes apply to him? How could anybody say that somebody who is like this, who is described as such, is similar or would ultimately become similar to God? So that word heaven must be translated as God and as nothing else. That is your argument.
और उन्हें जोर दिया था, इनका असल मतलब ये है कि उन्हें जोर दिया था जब तक खुदा सिफा जिसके अंदर ये खुदा सिफा ना हो ये खूबियां दिखा नहीं सकते.
ठीक है.
उनका मतलब ये है.
And no one, unless he is in contact with heaven, can exercise or display these qualities. These qualities are only born as a natural outcome of one's contact with heaven. So they are heaven-born qualities, and they are qualities of conscious beings, not of an unconscious phenomenon. To be distinctive, to be searching, to be middle order, to be creative, and all this, all that has, and to be intelligent and so on. All these are qualities of a conscious person. So when they refer to heaven as such, the argument which he is presenting is that obviously we cannot translate heaven as anything other than God. It has to be translated as God. Huh? Yes, because they are heaven's attributes, and these attributes cannot be the attributes of a dead being, an inanimate object. ठीक है
जी. इसमें खुदा की एक ऐसे वजूद की इरादा नजर आता है. ऐसे वजूद इरादा है जो
वही मैं कॉन्शियस बीइंग कह रहा हूँ. बिल इरादा हस्बी. अच्छा, अब आपका सवाल क्या है? तो हम समझ गए हैं बात.
सवाल है इसकी दो रेफरेंस है, अगर वक्त नहीं छोड़ दो. मेरा सवाल ये है कि सवाल ये है कि अखलाक वो तो जोर देती हैं, लेकिन इसमें ये कि उसकी तालीम में अखलाक पैदा करने के लिए तरतीब भी है, उसमें भी जिक्र है, लेकिन वो तरतीब जो इस्लाम ने बताया है 6 स्टेजेस कदाफलाह मोमिन इस तरह और जगह पे
नहीं मिलती,
ये नहीं मिलती. दूसरा ये है क्योंकि इसमें ये नजर आता है खुदा सिफात ऐसे जिक्र नहीं करते. इसका नतीजा में बावजूद इसके कि वो जरूरत देती हैं, लेकिन लोगों का हालात इतने बुलंद नहीं जितने होने चाहिए. इसलिए क्यों हम क्या ये होने चाहिए कि हम कुरान करीम की रोशनी में उनकी अखलाक की तालीम की खामियाँ फौरन करें.
पहले तो खामियों से ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है कि सिमिलैरिटीज़ बयान करें और इनका सिग्निफिकेंस उनको बताएं कि तुम चूँकि कुरान की एक जिंदा किताब तुम्हारे में मौजूद नहीं और तुम्हारा मज़हब तारीख बन गया है, इसलिए तुम्हें पूरी तरह इन बातों की खुद समझ नहीं कि ये क्या बातें कह रहे थे. कुरान की रोशनी में हम इनको बेहतर समझ सकते हैं. इसलिए मुराद ये है इससे. ये पहले समझाएं और तारीफ करें कि बहुत अच्छी बातें कही गई हैं, लेकिन अनफॉर्चुनेटली तुम लोगों को समझ नहीं आ सकती क्योंकि तुम्हारा एक जिंदा मजहब से ताल्लुक कट चुका है और रफ्ता रफ्ता ये मजहब रिवायत बन गया, कहानियां बन गया, तारीख का हिस्सा बन गया. तो हम चूंकि इस्लाम से ताल्लुक रखते हैं जिसका सोर्स से अभी भी ताल्लुक है, इसलिए पहली बात तो यह है कि इसका सिग्निफिकेंस हम तुम्हें बेहतर बता सकते हैं. और हम तुम्हें बताते हैं कुरान करीम में भी ये बातें कही और इस तरह कही. और दूसरी बात ये कि सिर्फ यही नहीं बताया, और भी बहुत कुछ बताया है और अखलाक तक बात पहुंचाकर छोड़ नहीं दी, बल्कि कदम कदम अखलाक इख्तियार करने के गुर सिखाए. और बताया कि किस तरह तुम आहिस्ता आहिस्ता खुदा के अखलाक सीख सकते हो और क्या तरीक़ हैं. और फिर नबी को उनका मॉडल बनाकर दिखाया और फिर सहाबा को उस हसना में शामिल कर लिया. ये सारी बातें फिर और फिर वो अखलाक की तफसील और उसके ट्रायल, इम्तिहानात, ये सारी बातें बताने वाली. द फैक्ट इज नाउ व्हाट ही वांट्स टू आस्क इज, शुड वी बेस्ड ऑन इस्लामिक टीचिंग्स ऑफ मोरालिटी स्टार्ट विद द क्रिटिसिज्म ऑफ Confucius' teaching of morality, because we find it inadequately expressed, because we find that reference to God is also ambiguous, and because we find that it is not pursued in detail as to how this morality can be achieved and translated into our actions. While Islam speaks vociferously on these subjects and leaves no room for any ambiguity. So he says, should we start like this? I said, no, not like this. You tell them that fundamentally, basically your philosophy is very sound. But so sound that you don't know how sound it is. Because you have lost touch with the truth for a long time now. Confucius was a godly person. He had a direct contact with God. So his references should be understood in the light of there being a real God. So the Holy Quran is the best means for you to understand Confucianism. Because it's a fresh book, it is a well-preserved book. This book also was revealed to a person by God who had a live contact with him. And in so many things he speaks exactly the same language as was spoken by Confucius. And he also made us understand the true meaning. So the words which were spoken by Confucius are the same in many ways as were revealed to the Holy Prophet of Islam, and as such you should understand them in the same light through his help. And now we tell you that this is what is meant by Confucius and this is what is meant by Confucius. So it's a very great religion of great light and we respect it for that. But it is a much older religion when mankind had not yet developed. So in future, there was a future further development of morality based on religion. And the Holy Quran is the last, final, consummate form of that development. So from then on, you start telling them of the shortcomings of Confucianism in morality, in how morality should be acquired, what are the ways and means to become moral, and what are the detailed teachings which one should follow in this. There, the Confucianism is quiet, and Islam is very rich in all this teaching, and also in demonstrating to the world how morality can be acquired and turned into a living society. So from then you can take a turn to the life history of Ahmad ﷺ, how he exhibited and demonstrated morality in his life. And then you can take the turn through the window which was opened to us by Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radhiyallahu anha. When asked about the morality of Ahmad ﷺ or his conduct, the answer was, his morality was the Holy Quran. She didn't say his morality is to be found in the Holy Quran, or his way of life, his conduct is to be found in the Holy Quran. What she said was, Kana khuluquhul Quran. The Holy Quran was his morality, or his way of life, or his conduct. So that shows a perfect agreement. If you say his morality was based on that, that is a much smaller tribute than to equate him perfectly and completely with the book. So that is the way which was adopted by Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa. So you can tell them that here we have also a model who would tell you what was meant by these great people when they said, be this and be that and be that. There was a model, and a living model, whose morality and conduct has been preserved as if still alive through generations of Muslim scholars.
Yes.
And that is here. So
yes,
there are things in common and things over and above
yes,
what Confucius taught you.
yes,
So in this way,
yes,
you can first build a common starting point,
yes,
a common platform. Don't talk of disagreement to begin with. Emphasize the agreements. And later on, from those agreements, we can carry them along to the reasons
yes,
of not disagreements, but of additional knowledge.
Additional knowledge.
You know, things which don't exist there.
Additional knowledge. इसमें एक दिलचस्पी बात ये है डिटेल में, यानी वो ना सिर्फ वो जो याद में भी बहुत मुशाबिह हाल है. मतलब ये इंटरेस्टिंग बात ये है, कल मैंने पढ़ा है, उन्होंने कहा कि औरत पर्दा रखनी चाहिए और रात को अगर जाना हो रोशनी होनी चाहिए, और रास्ते में और मर्द एक तरफ गुजरे ये तरफ और औरत इस तरफ वो दूसरी तरफ.
You see, what he is telling is very interesting. Confucianism was a very great religion, and my personal feeling is that this is my personal belief, that all the various regions of the world were shown great religions by God, and each of them had a relatively smaller Khatam al-Nabiyyin among them. He was not a Khatam al-Nabiyyin with reference to the whole world, but in their own way, in their limited world, each people was shown a sort of Khatam, where the teachings ended and were completed. Confucian always reminds me of this, my personal belief and inclination, because there you find a perfect, as close a resemblance to Islam as one could expect from a religion that old. Although it falls short of many things which Islam carries further, but fundamentally, even in detail, sometimes the similarity is so fantastic, unbelievable, that one begins to believe that perhaps somebody who has written this must have read the Holy Quran, and not only that, must have read the traditions of Muhammad, like this, what he is just telling me.
His reference
says in the
classic book, classic book.
Yes, from Confucian.
Before Islam.
Yes, but I know, yes. This is what I am telling them. This is written much before Islam, yes. And today one would have the impression that all this is being said and written after the study of the Holy Quran and the traditions of Muhammad. It says there is one injunction regarding women, that they should cover their faces and should not walk out alone in the dark, and in the roads men should walk on one side and women should walk on the other side, so that people don't just find it opportune to touch women in any way or to bang into them and so on. And this is exactly how we do in Dava, as you've seen, during Jalsa Salana particularly, and even otherwise. This is promoted that one part of the road should be specially used for men, and the other should be left alone for ladies. So it becomes so convenient in ordinary life.
And if he is light, if he is night, woman should go with light.
With light.
With light. Roshini ke saath.
Yes. If it is darkness, then a woman must carry some light, so that even under the cover of darkness, but should not take advantage and later on say, I couldn't see her, So she should. Nowadays, the same teaching should be reversed to keep the spirit of this teaching.
Yes.
Today, if it is darkness, it's better for a woman to walk without a light. You see, sometimes the teachings can be reversed to preserve the same spirit. That would not be against Confucius' teaching, because what he wants is to safeguard women's sanctity and chastity.
Yes.
Chastity. And today, it would be better guarded if the woman is not known to be a woman. If she is carrying a light, she will become prominent. And everybody would know there is a weak lady walking along, and a fit person for assault, that sort of thing.
Yes. There's one
in advanced moral societies,
yes,
this is a very good teaching.
yes, yes,
But in a corrupt society, this would fall short of
yes,
serving its purpose.
yes. One matter also for Chinese to follow, that one prophet after Confucius, you may call the Zili Nabi, Confucius. He said man should shake hand with a woman. But if your brother-in-law, sister-in-law, if your sister is going to fall down to drown in water, and you don't save her with hand, you are animal. अगर मैं मर्द औरतों के साथ मुसाफा नहीं करना चाहिए, हाथ के साथ मिलाना नहीं चाहिए, लेकिन अगर आपकी कोई औरत आपकी भाभी दरिया में डूब हो रही है तो तुम ना निकालें तो तुम जानवर हो जाएगा.
He says that even to such detail, Confucianism is similar to Islam, that it is said that one shouldn't shake hand with other women. A man should not shake hand with a woman. But this teaching should not be carried to the extent that if you see your sister-in-law drowning, lest you should break this law, you don't even attempt to save her life. That is carrying it too far, and that is beastly, not human. So that is what they mean by mean. You know, everything has a proper application, and yes, within reasons, within reasonable bounds.
तीसरा सवाल है, अगर वक्त हो तो
ये तो पहला तो जवाब था, दूसरा सवाल था ही नहीं. दूसरा तो सवाल था ही नहीं, तीसरा शायद सवाल हो.
हैं जी?
दूसरा जो आपने बयान किया वो तो सवाल था ही नहीं, वो तो हमारे सवालों का जवाब था. सवाल क्या था?
सवाल ये था कि क्या कुरान करीम, हदीस और मुस्लिम इस्लाम किताब की रोशनी में अखलाक की मुतालिक बयान किया जाए.
हाँ, वो तो खैर मैंने कहा जवाब है, ज़ाहिर बात है, तो होना ही चाहिए इस तरह.
हाँ जी,
ठीक है, आगे चलें.
तीसरा ये ज़रा मुश्किल है, इंटरेस्टिंग भी है.
अच्छा.
और अगर आज ना हो सकें तो फिर
नहीं हो जाएगा इंशाल्लाह.
ये है कि कुरान करीम
रशीद
में
साहब को हम वक्त नहीं ना देंगे आज. चौधरी अब्दुल रशीद साहब को आज वक्त नहीं देंगे.
कुरान करीम में अल्लाह फरमाता है कुल्ला यौमिन हुवा फी शान.
ठीक है.
इससे साबित होता है दुनिया तब्दीली होती रहती है, अल्लाह ताला की मंशा और उन खुदा के फ़ील के मुताबिक तब्दीलियाँ होती रहती हैं. और कन्फ्यूशियनिज्म ये भी कहते हैं, वो भी कहते हैं कि हर चीज़ हरकत में आता है, और वो कहते हैं कि ये हरकत जो है मिलाकर तमाम खलाकात मिलाकर 64 है. 64 है. और आपको जो मैंने दिखाया था वो सिर्फ हुदूद थी. जिस वक्त ये तालीम दी थी उस वक्त ज़बान नहीं थी, बस हुदूद थी. अब हुदूद की मुद्दली का सुना है मैंने, खुद पढ़ा नहीं. नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम फरमाया है गुज़श्ता ज़माने की नबी था, वो हुदूद के ज़रिए फिर बयान करती थी.
हुदूद के
ज़रिए हाथ निशानियाँ, हुदूद जो लाइन, मुख्तलिफ लाइन के ज़रिए, ज़बानी लाइन के ज़रिए फिर बयान करती थी. मैं समझता हूँ ये चीनी अंबिया ऐसे करती थी. चुनांचे उन्होंने 64 हुदूद बनाया था. आपको दिखाया था, आपने कुछ रिमार्क भी दिया था. उस वक्त इंग्लिश
मेल एंड फीमेल.
हाँ, उस वक्त ज़बान, उस वक्त इंग्लिश तर्जुमा नहीं था. अब तर्जुमा मिल गया है. 64 हुदूद है जो चीनी ज़बान में आया है, उसका इंग्लिश तर्जुमा भी आया है.
ठीक है.
तो हुदूद पढ़ने से दोस्तों को मैं भी दे दूँगा अगर आप चाहते हैं, तो आप पढ़ने से पता लगता है कि ये जो हुदूद है, ये जो अल्फाज है, 64 चेंजेस है, एक ऑर्डर है, एक नेचुरल ऑर्डर है उनके कहने के मुताबिक. वैसे आप अकल से सोचें वैसे है, पाँच चीज़ ऑर्डर है. और कुरान करीम भी अल्लाह फरमाता है तब्दीलियाँ हैं. मैं समझता हूँ कुरान करीम में जो आयात हैं और सूरत है, सूरतें हैं, आपस में भी एक नेचुरल ताल्लुकात है, वो इसमें फिलोसफी भी है. ये नेचुरल तरतीब है,
राब्ता है एक दूसरे के साथ मजमून का.
क्योंकि कुल्ला यौमिन हुवा फी शान, तो ये जो आयात है बाद दफ़ा बाद वाक़यात का जिक्र है, बाद फिर क़याम भी है, बाद कई चीज़ें हैं। एक पहलू ज़रूर होगा, आपस में एक नेचुरल ऑर्डर है, इसमें तब्दीली नहीं हो सकता। तो अगर ये खुदा की तरफ से है, वैसे उन किताबों से पता लगता है कि ये चीज़ें हैं खुदा की तरफ से, बाद में तब्दीलियाँ हुई है। अगर खुदा की तरफ से है, ये दोनों तरतीब, कुरान करीम की तरतीब और इन खरगात की तरतीब मुशाबियत होना चाहिए। मेरा सवाल ये है कि हम देखें कि आपस में क्या मुशाबिहात है। अगर कुछ गड़बड़ हो तो हम कुरान करीम की रोशनी में इनकी खरगात जो है तब्दीली भी कर सकते हैं। वो कहते हैं ये गलत है।
Now this is a very interesting and intriguing question which he is raising. First of all, he refers to an old Chinese philosophical symbolism, which is considered to be the fundamental in Confucius philosophy, and which according to them is so very precious and so essential for all that is required by man, that every science, every concept, every field of human activity is covered by that fundamental symbolism of Confucianism. And if you well understand, for instance, acupuncture is born out of this symbolism. And similarly, all the sciences took their birth from a correct understanding of this symbolism. When he showed it first to me, it was, I think, 10, 12 years ago, or more. When you were posted in Karachi, and I asked Maula Abdul Ali Khan Sahib to relieve you for a while, to give you to me.
75.
75. So it's about 11 years. Yes, that's right. He brought that symbolism to me, so I tried to understand it, but there was no translation. It seemed, one thing which I found was that it was in couples. If one could be, one type of symbol could be considered as male symbol, the other was a female symbol. So there was a perfect balance between male symbols and female symbols. But the orders were different and intricate. So I tried to solve that dilemma, and I think I made some break as well in some directions and told him. But unfortunately, I didn't have time enough to pay full attention to it. Now he's telling me that at that time, although there was no such book in the market which had broken this symbolism into intelligible words, but now he has got a book. I think the photocopy is
from that book.
Yes, which has translated those symbols into words, and there is an internal order between them. Now his question was that if Confucianism has such deep resemblance with Islam, why should Confucianism not exhibit the same similarity in this symbolism? He believes, this is a theory which he is forwarding, that as we know, the Holy Quran says, Kulla yawmin huwa fi shan. God is always changing in his attributes or the manifestations of his characters. So in the Holy Quran we find diversification as well as similarities and an order connecting each thing with the other thing. Like every surah, every chapter is connected with the next one, and that is connected with the next, and so on. And every verse is interconnected, and every subject which is mentioned is interconnected. So there is an order, and this is also an order, a very special order, which should be understood to gain light, for solving other problems and interesting questions. So he believes that as we have established that Confucianism has definite similarities to Islam. This should also have some similarity. And shall we attempt to study the Holy Quran in the light of this Confucius symbolism and try to discover the same order or similar order, why it is important according to him, and that point is very valid and important point too, because he believes, as we also know, that in many things, although Confucianism is similar, but it has been corrupted by man as well. And in many places the order has been changed and the teaching has also been interpolated. So maybe this order also is defective. If we understand it generally and then understand the similar phenomenon in the Holy Quran, then with the help of the Holy Quran we'll be able to correct this order and use the Holy Quran as a touchstone for truth and rectifying this. So it will be a very great and a very interesting new avenue which will be opening to the Chinese people, and if they see it in this way, they will understand this much better than any other approach from Islam. Then they will be deeply convinced, because in this they already believe. They have already seen useful applications of this order and symbolism. So when they see Islam, the Holy Quran already not only speaking of this order but of greater orders, and also to be in a position to rectify the wrongs committed by many Chinese generations in preservation of this order, then he thinks it would be opening new ways of popularity for Islam and acceptance for Islam. Is that you?
Yes.
Right.
And more two things.
But this is a very intricate subject.
Yes.
I don't want you to pay your attention to it as long as you have not translated the Holy Quran.
Yes.
That is more important to me first.
Yes.
So you better pay all your attention and time to the translation of the Holy Quran.
Yes.
And if just when you are tired, you want diversion, keep it handy and then just look at it and sort of,
yes, this is very difficult.
As a mental, relaxation, you can pursue this occasionally.
Yes.
And in the meantime, you also, once you submitted it to me, didn't you? Did you submit this to me once?
This,
have you given it to me? No.
This one?
Yes.
Yes, this is with...
Is it the same thing?
Yes.
No, the symbols.
Symbols.
And the order of the symbols.
I have sent to you, and also I have many. I can give...
You have got it here?
Yes.
Right.
I want to distribute among them.
I see. You have already brought quite a few copies.
Yes.
Yes, you can distribute to anyone. So this is... What I understand, this is going to be an open invitation for everybody. He has brought already copies to be distributed. So whoever wants to apply his mind to this and try to solve the dilemma would be most welcome.
यूरोपियन लोग खासतौर यहाँ के लोग वो इस किताब से फाइल निकालते हैं.
क्या निकालते हैं?
फाइल किस्मत निकालते हैं.
फाइल, अच्छा किस्मत. Divining from books, they try to read future through random opening of certain holy books. This is called divining. That's right. Yes. See, it takes an Englishman to lead you to the right word. But I had read it, I remembered, I had read the right word and it was just missing me, Divining is the word. So he says that in Europe, many people use this symbolism for divining. They, in some difficult questions they can't solve, they can't, decide themselves. They open this book at random by keeping in their mind that we'll read the third line or so. So they receive the message, and this is a practice, common practice now in Europe. Not common, but this is a practice now in Europe.
Yeah.
Who told you this? The Europeans don't seem to be aware of this.
किताब फरोख्त होती है बाजार. इस वजह
He
से.
says this book is now being sold as a popular book for divining. Yes, you know that? Oh, he knows. Yes. Good. But why you don't know this? Why should they do it?
where should do it? नहीं मेरे ख्याल में समझ नहीं आई, लेकिन ये है कि मसलन 64 मेरे ख्याल में 64 एक changes है, वो एक निकाले, इसमें 6 steps है.
अच्छा.
6 steps है. इसमें असल में मेरा नज़दीक वो हिकमत है. उस हिकमत कुछ तजुर्बा भी लिखा हुआ है.
क्या?
तजुर्बा यानी कुछ 6 stages.
तजुर्बा.
तजुर्बा. वो उससे वो बताते हैं कि अगर आप शादी करना हो तो ये मौका है, ये अगर सफर करना हो ये ठीक नहीं है, इस किस्म के वो निकालते हैं. तो लेकिन तभी चीज़ है, अगर इसका फिलोसॉफी समझ लें तभी तरतीब समझ लें. मसलन मेहनती है, मेहनती के लिए मेहनत एक स्टेज है, एक हरकत है, उसमें 6 स्टेज है. तो मसलन 6 स्टेज गुजरने के बाद इसका तभी दरिया होगा, दौलत मिल जाएगी. लेकिन जब वो मेहनत की चीज़ 6 दिख लिया, बता दिया अमीर हो जाएगा, वह खुश हो जाएगा, कहना अमीर हो जाएगा.
I guess as to why people do that in Europe.
मेरा ख्याल है.
He says according to what he understands, this system this Chinese system has first to begin with 64 steps. These 64 are in reality subheadings regarding various human activities. These subheadings are further divided into 6 steps, and those steps are to be understood so that one can carve one's path in life, one can positively form a policy in the light of these steps. And he indicates, for instance, there is mentioned application of labor. This is one subheading, and that is broken up into 6 steps, with the result ultimately that if you follow these 6 steps, then you will be wealthy. Your labor would bear fruit. So people here, if they chance upon this particular number, then they say, oh, this is now we will become wealthy, because we have seen it. So what he says is, it's not by seeing that you become wealthy, but by understanding that philosophy and following those steps in the same order.
Yes.
Yes. Right, yes.
And misuse it.
Yes, of course.
But actually these things are very important. According to me, it's very important. Because yes. I had a dream when I write...
उर्दू में बताएं dream
अपनी. हाँ. तो मैंने किताब तैयार कर रहा था इमाम दी, कुछ रेफरेंस आया था जिन्हें लोग पुराना अंबिया, तमाम अंबिया सब ऊपर इनकार कर दिया, कहते ये सब फजूल है. उसमें एक नबी था जो इस किताब की शुरू से ही तैयार किया था, तो ये भी कोई आदमी है नहीं, वैसे फजूल. और हालांकि बाज़ तारीख में ये लिखा है कि उसका नाम फुशी है. क्या? फुशी. और मुसलमान कहते हैं, उलमा कहते हैं कि ये नूह का पैदा था. हाँ. ये अजीब है, लेकिन आम मुसलमान नहीं मानते. तो उसने वो आसमान और ज़मीन लिल्लाहि मा फ़िस समावाति मज़मून वो गौर करते रहे. उनने देखा मेरा वहाँ कशिफ होगा, ये मुसलमान कैसे ऐसे मैं समझता हूँ. कशिफ में देखा कि समुद्र से खोरा निकल आए. समुद्र से खोरा है, समुद्र का खोरा आया है. उसके बैद पर कुछ निशानात थी, उस निशानात की बना पर इन्होंने ये तैयार किया था. तो जब वो रेफरेंस मेरा सामने आया, क्योंकि मैं साबित करना था कि उन किताबें तब्दीलियाँ हुई, मैंने कहा ये भी लिखा है कि ये ऐसा शेष मौजूद है नहीं. फिर मैंने ख्वाब दिखा किया कि ये नबी मौजूद थे. इसका मतलब ये सोर्स है कोई अच्छी बात.
He says that why I consider it very important for us to pay special attention to it is that although many Chinese believers in Confucius don't pay much importance to this symbolism, because they don't even believe in the founder of this symbolism. They believe that he was just a fake man and he just, do hocus pocus and nothing more. So he himself was in doubt about it, why this and whether it is important or not. So before I tell you his dream, he wants to tell us as to who he was. His name was Fu Shi, and according to the old Chinese Muslim scholars, he was one of the sons of Noah who was saved, not the one who was drowned, but the one who was saved, and later on who became the forefather of many of new generations. So old Chinese believe that one of the Noah's sons came to China, and then he propounded these teachings. And his teaching itself, that symbolism, was based on a dream. He saw in a dream that a seahorse walked out of the sea, and on the back of the seahorse was something inscribed. So when this prophet, Fu Shi, read it, not only could he read it, but he remembered everything. And this was exactly the symbolism which he found inscribed on the back of the seahorse. So,
उन खुदों की रोशनी में उन्होंने तैयार किया।
हाँ, अच्छा। No, in the light of what he read there, he understood it in the light. It's not exactly the symbol, balki what he did was he received the message written on the horseback, understood it, and in the light of that, he prepared this whole symbolism, which conveyed many truths according to him, and very deep truths. If somebody would understand it, he would be enriched by that much. So he was, because many Confucianists don't pay much importance to this symbolism and wave him off as an impostor or something. So he himself was doubt, so he prayed whether there was a truth or not, and whether such a man was a prophet or not. And then he was told by Allah in a dream that Fu Shi is among those whom we made prophets. He is in the list of our prophets. So because now he, of course, naturally, he was praying for it, so he received an answer, so he pays importance to it. But that is not all. I have seen his dreams to come true sometimes so strangely that no human factor would be held responsible for that exact fulfillment of the dream. So he is one of those whom Allah has specially gifted with that quality that you see a clear dream in symbols too. You don't know sometimes what it stands for, sometimes it puzzles you, you don't receive the message at all. I mean that he himself. And when he tells that dream to others, they know it, and then it comes to pass exactly as he is seen. So it is not only important for him, but I think he is quite right. Also once before, it was a dream which led him to the edition of the question of Khatm Nubuwwat, wasn't it?
Yes.
He was writing a book as I had told him, on Imam Mahdi, the appearance of Imam Mahdi, because that was one title which was very well known to the Chinese people, and they were expecting for the Imam Mahdi to appear, but Masih Maud was rather not a very well familiar term to them. They were not expecting a Messiah as much as a Mahdi. So he gave that book the title Imam Mahdi, and in that he decided not to include the question of Khatm Nubuwwat, because he thought it was not relevant here, but while it was relevant anyway, when he had almost, or perhaps had actually finished the book, then he saw a dream giving him a message that without this Khatm Nubuwwat, this book would be meaningless. It will not be complete. Now, interestingly, when he saw this dream, shortly after that, a demand came from Chinese that we want a book on this subject. Without it, there will be no correct introduction of Ahmadiyyat without the Chinese knowing our point of view. And also when he came to England, when he spoke with some Chinese Muslims, they also demanded this, didn't they?
Yes.
You told me once.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Does it? When he told he said, does it contain this chapter? Anything on this?
No, like this. You see, because too long, किताब बहुत लंबी हो गई है. वफाद मसीह भी लिखना नहीं चाहता था. सदाकत मसीह लिखना चाहता था.
हाँ वही.
तो अभी मजबूर हो गया. वफाद मसीह भी इजाफा गया. अब लिखना नहीं चाहिए ताकि लंबा ना हो. तो इस दौरान में ख्वाब देखा कि 3 उलमा चाइना से आए. एक आलिम आपको उनको खत्म नबुव्वत समझा रहे थे. तो मैंने इसका मतलब मुझे लिखना चाहिए. तो यहाँ अगर
three Chinese scholars, one of them was making an attempt for others to understand the true meaning of Khatm Nubuwwat. That is what he saw in dream, while he had not included this chapter. So he understood that it is a message from God that without this the book would not be complete. When he did, and then he came here, then he realized the importance after discussing it with Chinese people.
तो वो नबुव्वत के मतलब पूछती थी.
हाँ, exactly.
तो मैंने कहा ये दिखाया.
When he opened this question of Ahmadiyyat, they straight away asked. The most interesting question to them was this Khatm Nubuwwat. So this is why I say his dreams are truly from Allah, and particularly some dreams which I have known before. They came to pass exactly as as he saw. So this is true then. Fushi was a prophet of God.
ये हवाला लिख दिया था. ये हवाला लिख दिया था कि फुशी ऐसे ना आदमी नहीं थे.
अच्छा.
उसके बाद ये ख्वाब दिखा था. इसको निकाल दिया वो हवाला.
He says he had committed the mistake of including one excerpt from some anti-Fushi man, that he was not a good man. He was wrong man, that sort of thing. So he had included that excerpt in his book. And then he saw this dream that he was a prophet of God. What were you doing,
वो कहते हैं कि चाली है, कोई आदमी ऐसा ही नहीं है. वो कहते हैं कि जिस तरह अंबिया इंकार करते हैं, कहते हैं ये कोई ऐसा शख्स है नहीं.
ठीक है.
नबी का सवाल नहीं.
But I remember those symbols which you brought to me, and when you remember in Waqf Jadid, when we jointly tried to break this code, and I found this man, whoever it was definitely guided by God. Because there was such deep truths in this, and such deep richness in the philosophy, that it was impossible for a man of any age to invent such things. He must have been guided by God, and this is what I told him there too. That after trying to break this code, at least of one thing I am convinced, that this man is a pious man. He is a holy man, and it is not only his own efforts, but he has been guided. So Alhamdulillah, later on this was proved to be, in a manner that we believe, it was proved to be right.
ये इतना अहम है, इतना मुश्किल है. कन्फ्यूशियस ने खुद कहा था, उन्हें मुझे 15 साल और दे दो ताकि मैं अच्छी तरह समझ सकूं.
Even Confucius had confessed that this teaching is so difficult that God should give me 15 years of more life to finally understand the message. But later on I read, I was reading a book on acupuncture, and I was surprised to learn that acupuncture's philosophy was based on this.
Yes. Not only this, but
this is fantastic, because the acupuncture has got established now as a fact of life now in the world. The scientists can't poo-poo it as something, having no reference to real science. Yet they don't understand how a man could draw lines of communication in the man's system where actually no lines of communications exist. Yet there is some communication. You know, for instance, here there is a point which when you employ and press with the needle, then it works like, you know, no, not blood pressure, but क्या कहते हैं, anesthesia. You know, works like anesthesia. Sometimes they used to use only 2 needles to press a point here and a point there, so that that man would become totally unconscious of pain, while he would remain conscious. Now, when an American team went to investigate this matter in China, they showed them actually a heart operation and a stomach cancer operation being carried out under the influence of these 2 needles, which one was pressed here and the other was pressed here. And the man who was being operated upon, he was reading a book. They were flabbergasted. There were no signs of any medicine. And when they traced the nerve paths, they found that the nerve paths were nowhere near that center, and anyway, that those nerves which passed around there, you know, making a contour, they were not concerned with this. I mean, they were not relative nerves anyway. So when they traced all these lines and tried to match them with the nervous paths of the nerves, they found that they nowhere matched. It's a completely different system of, you know, drawing paths. Dr. Hamidullah Sahib knows it, he has read it. And yet it works. I mean, there is a definite communication between those points. You remember you told me one point here, so I didn't apply needles afterwards, but whenever I felt, you know, that problem, I always applied a rough, dull pressure here, and immediately I got relieved. But according to allopathic science, there is absolutely no reason why I should be, you know, by that pressure. So that is based, I read somewhere, it was based on this system.
Yes, actually.
Is that right?
Yes, actually, you see, China में जितने वो तरक्कियात हैं पुराना ज़मान में इजादें हैं इस खुदूद की ज़रिया मसलन पहले कच्चा खाता था आग इस्तेमाल करना मकान बनाना मछली को पकड़ना किश्ती चलाना और ज़मीन ज़राअत करना सारे यहाँ तक ये दवाइयाँ वो भी सब इनों की ज़रिया ये
Fantastic. He says people have learned from this so much that even how to row a boat, a canoe, or how to catch fish, how to do agriculture and things, all these developments in the past owe themselves to this philosophy of symbols. And before that, the development in these scientific fields in China were very slow, insignificant. But some people who understood this and how to employ it in agriculture and fishing and other games and things and industry gained so much from it that completely a new era started, a very fast, rapid development of sciences, all based on this. Well, I don't know what that was, but I know this symbolism because I have read acupuncture, and it is unbelievable that all that paths and the points could have been derived from this without guidance from Allah. I mean, no man could have written that symbolism and by his own efforts reached, this inner system and devised it so accurately, and each point given, so accurately. So God has been speaking to various people, in his own way, and everywhere you find something of great interest. Kulla Yawmin huwa fi shan also means this, that he doesn't appear to all prophets exactly alike. To some he appears like this, and to some others like that. And even this you find in the followers of prophets. Sometimes some things are given to the followers which are not emphasized in the life history of a prophet. And that particular treatment of God of certain people is quite interesting to note. Once, I don't remember the detail, but I remember having read about Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Awwal radiyallahu ta'ala, that about one special way of God to him. When he was asked about it, he said, yes, Allah has specially shown me this, while his treatment with Hazrat Masih Maud was on a different pattern. You see, that sort of thing I read, I am going to find out what it was, but it was quite interesting. Things which Allah, for instance, has taken on himself, that I'll do this to you. He said, this is a special promise to me by Allah, which I don't find having been given to Hazrat Masih Maud as well. That doesn't mean that he was trying to establish, God forbid, his superiority, because he was the humblest slave of Hazrat Masih Maud, so submissive to him that no other follower of Hazrat Masih Maud can be bracketed with him in this regard. Yet when he says, then it becomes very important. He doesn't mean to establish superiority, but he means to establish Allah's superiority. That he is not bound, He can show some mercies, and his countless ways of showing mercies to some other humble people too, which are not shared by prophets, That is the expression, not the expression of, in any way of insult or it's not to be taken as derogatory remark.
इस ख्याल की तस्दीक के लिए तो मैं एक बात जिक्र करता हूँ, जो जिसके ज़रिया इजाद की थी, इस वक्त सब नबिया कहते हैं, उनको नबी कहते हैं,
जिनके
ज़रिया मसलन मकान बनाया है,
अच्छा
किसी चलाया, ये सब नबी है.
Another interesting point he is telling us about Confucianism. He says that although these the Confucianists, or what are you call them, followers of Confucius, although many of them don't believe in Fushi to be a prophet, but those people who learned this art and invented things based on this philosophy, they are all called prophets. You see, it was a prophet who told them how to build houses in the modern way. It was a prophet who told them the art of catching fish and the right way of catching fish. It was a prophet who told them how to till the soil. And each such prophet, who is held in high reverence, based his discovery on this system. Is that right?
Yes. And Nabi Islam फरमाया कि एक नबी ऐसा था, खुदूद के ज़रिया फिर कोई करते थे, ये उन्हें सुना है.
हाँ, वो हदीस एक निकालें, इसके हवाला निकालें.
हाँ, ये पूछेंगे.
Somebody mentioned it to me before. I wonder whether it was you or somebody else, and I forgot to trace it. Have you ever heard of this tradition? I mean, the so-called tradition, it is attributed to Rasulullah, but I have not yet investigated whether it's right or wrong. That he said there was a prophet of God who prophesied in symbols of lines, in khutut.
Yeah.
You haven't raised, I haven't come across myself, but somebody told me, maybe it was you yourself.
No?
So somebody else told me too, and he is saying, referring to the same tradition. So one should find out where it is.
ये जेमिन रबी है, जेमिन रमा था, उन्होंने मुझे बताया था.
हाँ, तो उनको लिख के पूछने हवाला पूछे, वो मुझसे भी किसी ने जिक्र किया था ये. इस एग्जैक्टली यही, और उस वक्त मैंने सोचा कि मैं पता करूंगा, लेकिन भूल गया था. And I have heard it from some other source as well, that there was such a tradition which said that there was a prophet of God who spoke of future through symbols, in lines. These were the words attributed to Rasulullah. So if Jamilur Rahman Rafiq has mentioned it to you,
I clear.
you can approach him and
जी.
ask him the reference.
लेकिन ये हदीस तो साफ है वो तो लोग इल्मा वालू करना बिसी
That's that, of course.
इस हदीस से पता लगता है कि चीज़ में ऐसे तालीम भी है कि इस्लाम की सजाई को ज़्यादा वादा कर सकती हैं.
This can be extended to this meaning.
Yeah.
You see, yes. The first meaning that appears to one's mind is that even if you have to go as far as China,
Yeah.
seek knowledge, these are the words of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, even if from China, even from China, not if, even from China. So the meaning which have been generally understood of this saying are that even if you have to take the trouble of going to as far a place as China is, you go there and seek knowledge, because knowledge is all important. Now he says that it could also mean that Allah had told him that there was knowledge to be sought in China. That's another angle, and a very attractive angle.
which can conform teaching of Islam.
Why didn't he say anything else? He says what he meant was that Allah must have told him that there was knowledge, and a very special knowledge to be sought from China. And when we come across this seems to be the knowledge.
Yes. I think. Yeah.
So you better pursue it and unravel this mystery.
Yeah, all right.
All right? But not tonight here. So azan keh dein jisne kehni hai.